What is up, guys? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm going to be doing my very first installment of some EDC tool and knife talk. I wanted a little bit of an open forum to just kind of talk casually about some things, not necessarily doing a review or a mod or a maintenance or an unboxing. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to do something a little bit different. I know I have my Instagram post out there where I follow some folks and share some of their stuff from their feed with you all here, and I'm just realizing I have a really bad camera angle because I just finished doing a mod video for that Demco 8020.5. So we're going to rearrange some of this while I'm talking. So basically here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to just have like a topic set out to be able to kind of talk about some things here on the channel roughly and openly. I actually do want to get your feedback on some of the subjects that I bring up here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and impressions and where you guys are, not just on the subject, but with the industry as a whole. All right, so having said that, I want to talk about two things. I'm going to start with the format of my channel. All right, so one of the things that I'd like to try to do that I think would be a little bit fun, and this is going to be the shorter part of today's conversation, I think I'd kind of like to do a little bit of a recommendation, right? So when I do review of like budget knives and things of that nature, I usually just go through and talk about the knives. I talk about some comparable and comparison knives and things of that nature. What I don't see being done that I would like to, start doing, and it could be, there's so many channels out there, guys, to be honest with you, it could just be I haven't seen it yet. But on all the big channels that I do follow, and even some of the smaller to medium sized channels, not seeing this done a lot. So I'm hoping that it's something that I do that is appreciated, brings some value, or something to make you pause and think about before you make a purchase on any particular knife. So I want to clarify, when I'm doing any type of review on a knife, it's going to be a recommendation for a different knife. Hopefully I've satisfied someone's OCD by going through all of these knives and touching them. So not too big of a change there, right? Not too big of a subject, but I would like to hear your thoughts. So for example, if I were to say be doing the review for the Citivian 124, this is the 124. I couldn't remember for a minute. If I was doing the review for this and I was going over this particular knife, I might say, check out the Kubi Royal, $50 D2, a little bit better action, a little bit better build. It has, I believe, inset liners instead of full steel liners, and that changes the way it feels in hand. So kind of what I'm recommending and why. That's not the actual recommendation for that, so don't get too mad about that. Also, please know, I am not picking on Citivian. This just happens to be the only 3 knives that I have with me at the moment that have D2 steel. So I want to talk about the next part of the conversation. Let me know your thoughts and comments about the format changes for the video. And I'm going to try to keep these fairly brief and roll through them because it's not meant to be a rant. It's just I'm trying to find a way to have an open conversation and be able to talk through what it is that I want to talk to. So I'm bouncing it off you guys who are watching. Hopefully you understand and appreciate what I'm about to get into. So D2 steel, let's jump into that. So all these Citivians here have D2 steel. One of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is because I'm really burnt out on D2 steel, and it might help if these were in frame so you could see them. And I probably brought these up just a little bit too much, so let me bring it down just a touch, find that sweet spot. Apologies. I'm just a little burnt out on D2 steel. D2 steel has fantastic edge retention. There is no denying it. And I hopefully I still have the photo from where I did a video similar to this. Has excellent edge retention, and it is mediocre for toughness. And what does that mean, really? So toughness could mean how the edge will last when you're cutting through materials, but if you come across a staple that was in your cardboard that you didn't see. It's more likely to chip your edge on your D2 than some other steels that are available out there. Another great example is S30V. S30V is another steel that has phenomenal edge retention. Really good edge retention. Now you're starting to see S30V come down in the $70 range. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because if you're paying $30 for a Sativian with D2 steel, which let's say they have equal edge retention, and you're paying $30 for this knife, and let's say you paid $30 for this one and then $30 for this one because you love your Sativians, you love the value that brings. Well, now you're at $90 that you have spent on 3 knives. If you had a desire to pick up the 124 because it has a Axis style lock, you could potentially have picked up a bug out. And the bug out, I know it's going for like $140, $150, but you're getting really close to that price point. And there is a difference in the performance between the ST126 and a bug out. So let me talk about the differences. First, the performance on the Sativian, because it's on ceramic bearings, is going to be very nice. It's going to have super good action. The disadvantage to bearings, especially on a nylon washer, because we don't have enough information on those are more susceptible to debris and getting hung up and gumming up the pivot and the action. The Benchmade has really nice action. I mean, you see it, right? And it is on phosphor bronze washers. And it's the tolerances are so tight I can't even get it in there. These have a higher immunity to debris getting in there. Also, the S30V is corrosive resistant. I'll try to find an example of where you can get S30V on a knife that's a little bit more cheaper, but S30V is more expensive as a steel because of the other property traits in it to make it corrosive resistant and still have the same type of edge retention as D2, but be tougher, meaning this edge is going to be less likely to chip. All right, so I've kind of talked about some of the differences and if you're collecting what you could have possibly gotten. So that's an example of the format. Again, this is not a knock on Sativian. This is just something I want to try to do to make you pause and kind of think about it, right? You spent, $90. So you're almost at $100. Could you spend $40 more and get a bug out? Maybe. But here's another one to take into consideration. And I purposely didn't put it down on the table. For $120, you can get a SIG K320 made by Hogue with S30V. $120. $120. You're at 90, so let's just call it 100, and let's just call this 120. For $20 more, you can get a big chunk of S30V, which has phenomenal edge retention. It is corrosive resistant, and it is tougher than D2, so less prone to chipping. All right, so that's just a couple of things to talk about. Now, I do want to get back to the D2 part of the conversation. And again, please, if you are a Sativian fan, if you like collecting a bunch of budget knives and it's more affordable to you and you enjoy them, this is not knocking on your knife, okay? This could be any brand. It could be Gonzo, D2 steel. I'm just kind of tired of D2. I feel like there's just so many manufacturers out there making D2 because it has really high edge retention. It's a recognizable steel and it's really cheap to make. I mean, these guys are making and selling this knife for $30 with G10 on it with an Axis lock. I mean, holy hell, that means you have to make the lock, the Omega springs, and you have to do a good job of it. And again, here you have the ceramic bearings, so you have the smoother action going on the ceramic bearings, because that's what ceramic bearings do for any knife, or bearings in general, because there's some knives out there with steel bearings that are phenomenal. When I first got my smock, that was definitely one of them. But this one here, again, with the phosphor bronze washers, And there's no blade play. I'm moving my hand, I'm not moving the knife. So to obtain that glassy type of action with phosphor bronze washers, which are again stronger and more durable in highly dirty, dusty environments, you bring this to try to open up your mulch or your roofing tile and things of that nature, and it's going to gum up, and you could potentially damage your knife. And you're probably thinking it's 30 bucks, JD, who really cares? Fair enough. And again, I'm not marking the budget value. I think Syncut has some really good examples that I plan to check out once I do the giveaways for these. Syncut has, I believe, a 9CR, which I really am interested in checking that out, because I had either the Brazen or the Riffle, I think it was, that came out end of 2020, beginning of 2021, that had 9CR, and I really like that. And I also have knives that have the powdered 9CR Damascus steel that have phenomenal performance and are corrosive resistant. So I'm really interested in 9CR, and I like the fact that it's corrosive resistant, but I like the fact that those steels have better toughness. They're not going to compete with edge retention of D2, but they're easier to sharpen and easier to strop to maintain the edge. So just tired of D2. I'd like to see D2 be challenged by 9CR. 14C 28N's a little bit more expensive, but it really has more toughness. Just not as good as edge retention. Again, D2 has a really good edge retention. It's going to be tough to find a steel outside of like S30V off the top of my head that's going to compete with the D2 steel. So I just wanted to kind of talk about those two things. I'm going to try to find other knives to recommend in addition to doing my comparable and comparison knives, and talk about why I have a difference. I appreciate all the support. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, leave a like. Definitely leave a comment down below about any of the topics or a topic you'd like to see touched in the future as well. If you're enjoying the content, think about subscribing as well. Turn that notification bell to all if you do enjoy it. That way you get alerts for all future videos. Again, hope you have a fantastic week. Stay sharp until the next time, guys. Peace.